Welcome, everyone. Happy Tuesday. And it is the 16th episode of the Die Laugh Love podcast. I want to thank everybody for taking some time out of their day to come and join me on this online spirit gallery. Last week's was rescheduled because I am at the tail end of a little bit of a respiratory thing that seems to be hanging on. I do have my tea with me, so I will be drinking my tea as we get through this. Again, I want to thank you for joining me. And before we jump into this, I just want to say it's my intention, as always, to bring folks love, connection to spirit, clarity in their life. But I also ask everybody to lower their expectations when they walk into circumstances like this, whether you're sitting with me or with another medium or psychic. Lower your expectations, because spirit does work in mysterious ways, and everybody who finds themselves on this path does this in a particularly different way. Now, I also ask everybody to walk into this with a high sense of humor. Okay, we gotta have the ability to laugh, especially when we're dealing with grief and pain and turmoil and stress. And when I was recording episode 15, I don't want to say that I was getting upset with spirit, but I was talking about a lot of heavy stuff, and that really didn't align with my intention of trying to bring joy to people. And that is my primary purpose, I believe, is to kind of spread the vitamin joy. That's a big term that I believe in. We got to consume joy like a vitamin to make sure that we don't grow up to be jaded and bitter and judgy and bitchy and all that stuff. So the Die Laugh podcast is all about loving and laughing before we die, because we are all going to die. And I encourage everybody here to do your damnedest to bring a little joy, bring a little love to the world that is in dire need of it, whether it's with a stranger at the grocery store or by sending a message to a child, to a friend, somebody that you feel could use that message of approval. And that sort of brings us to what this session is about today. I want to tell you about last week when I was in Connecticut. I was in Connecticut and I was hosting a couple of events. And the first event, I was in Norwalk, Connecticut. The second event, I was in Hamden, Connecticut. And I listened to music before I go in. And when I was in Norwalk, Connecticut, I'd never listened to these guys before very much, but I get the sort of message to listen to Mormon music. And I'm like, what the heck is Mormon music? So I just go onto my music app and I type in Mormon to see what it would bring up. And then the Mormon Tabernacle Choir came up. So I was listening to them. I do like choir music. And I particularly have a fondness for Ave Maria. If anybody's ever heard that song before, Ave Maria, it's a very beautiful song and touches me every time I hear it. When I was in Hamden, Connecticut, I listened to AC/DC. Now, those two bands or two music entities are completely different. We have the Mormon Tabernacle Choir and we have AC/DC. So completely on either side of the spectrum. And whether I'm a psychic, whether I'm a medium, whether I'm a dad, a husband, a friend, anybody in this world, I think that we all get handed a certain amount of expectations in this world. We put these expectations on ourselves. We put these expectations on, or other people put these expectations on us, society, culture, what have you. And I want to tell you about the spirit that's been with me, because I don't know if this spirit is here to give you a reading or give your mom a reading. So I'm going to put it to you like that. Okay. So as I'm getting ready for this, I see marshmallows. Now, here's the funny thing, because this is a brother that's coming through for somebody here. Okay. As I'm getting ready for this, as I'm thinking about this, and anybody that's on my social media profiles, you'll see that I posted a picture of two roasted marshmallows to talk about this session. Now, I want to talk about something from, I believe, your childhood. And this is a message specifically for people that would have a brother in the world of spirit. Now, don't get caught up on brother, because this could be stepbrother, or this could be best friend, what have you. But I want to talk to you about somebody that you would have roasted marshmallows with. Okay. Roasted marshmallows with. And then I want to talk to you about, was there ever an instance when, you know how like when we roast marshmallows and they get really goopy and they can fall off the stick or what have you? Does anybody here have a particular memory about getting marshmallow in their hair? Like when they were a kid, getting marshmallow in their hair. You would have been around a campfire, you would have been around something with a fire, where you would have roasted marshmallows. I'm just seeing the goopy, goopy marshmallow. Uh, this could be a symbol for marshmallow fluff, but here's where the message comes in. I don't believe, I believe you're a sister. I believe you would have had a smart aleck brother. The message that I have from him is for his mom, for his mom. So this is why we record this. So I want to talk to somebody here who's got a brother in spirit, who has a mom who's not here on this session, but would be somebody that you could bring this message to. And at this point, what we do is we kind of wait for somebody to unmute themselves, to come up, to wave, to, say it's me, or what have you. So
Hi.
anybody, again, we're going to go with loss of brother. Hi, Erin. Can you speak up?
Hi.
Can I hear you? Hello.
Yeah, can you hear
Hello,
me?
hello, hello. I can. Yes, yes.
Um, I have a brother in spirit, of course, and my mother has joined a few times. She's not here tonight. I don't think that she told me she wasn't. I didn't know that she was coming if she is on, but yeah, we roasted a lot of marshmallows together, and I can't remember any specific hair incident. Um, but that very well may have happened. But we did a lot of stuff like that together. So I don't know if
Okay.
it might be him
So
or
what I'm
not.
going to do here, what I'm going to do here, Erin, is I want to make sure that nobody else can put these pieces together. Because if nobody else can put these
Yeah.
pieces together and you roasted marshmallows with a deceased brother, then this is going to be for you. Now, I want
Okay.
to talk to you about what this means. Okay. And I'm going to give everybody a chance to wave, unmute themselves, what have you. But here's a message for your mom. Okay. Now, remember how I walked into this time together with this idea of expectations? All right. Most moms, not all moms, particularly, there's exceptions to every rule. Most moms really take it upon themselves to be the best mom they absolutely can be, to be the best mom that
Hmm.
they absolutely can. And then, not to quantify these instances, but I believe the worst thing that could ever happen to a human being is the loss of a child. We can lose our parents, we can
Yeah.
lose our pets, we can lose our friends, but the absolute worst thing that could ever happen to us is the loss of a child. And when a mom loses her child, okay, she is going to hold it in her heart that she could have done more, that she could have been
Mm.
there more, that she could have done something about this. If nobody else can claim this, Erin, then this is going to be for you. And your mom isn't here, then this is going to be a message for your mom. Now, I have other spirits that are with me, and there's going to be this again, they're coming together with this overarching theme.
Yeah.
Okay, this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
So nobody else is claiming this. So, Erin, what I'm going to do right now for people watching this on YouTube, I'm going to put you up on spotlight so everybody can see you. I'm going to spotlight myself right next to you. So here we are, beside one another. Now we're talking to everybody for this. Okay. Um, may I ask, did your brother have any mechanical aptitude?
He was young, so not necessarily, but he would certainly have been someone that would trinket with things and a kind of
Okay.
jack of all trades, so to speak.
Was he a boy's boy? Like I was not a boy's boy.
Yes. Yes, he
Okay.
was.
He was a boy's boy. So little wheels, gearhead, all of that stuff, trucks, what have
Hmm.
you. Okay. So here is a message for your mom. Okay. And I know why I'm going with this because and I gotta back up and give some context here, just because
Hmm.
again, there's a lot of wisdom that spirit wants me to pass through to folks who are suffering, whether they've lost children or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Moms, women especially, and here's a warning for a little bit of my grandmother's French. I've found that, and I come from a woman that's like this, I found that women, moms especially, become bullshit hunters. And I use that term specifically, that the mom is the woman or the person in the family who's looking out for the bullshit. And you don't necessarily have to have children to be this. You could be hunting for bullshit in your job or in your life in general. But think about the women who have been taught by society, what have you, to clean the house, get the animals to the vets, get the kids to the doctors,
Yeah.
and this is where vigilance comes from. We're constantly looking out for the negative so we can get in front of it and make sure that it doesn't happen. Now,
Yeah.
what will happen to a woman, a mom, a bullshit hunter, what have you, is that she's going to come up against bullshit that she can't stop. Like she just won't be able to stop it. So think of the women in this world who have lost their husbands or wives or their parents, and they took it upon themselves and they beat themselves up to the degree of, I should have seen it coming. I should have done something about it. I should have gotten the herbalist. I should have done this. I should have done that. And again, using my hands to illustrate, one
Mm.
day we're all going to come up against something that we can't stop, get over, get around, get through. The last thing that we can do is blame ourselves. There, and you're a mom, yes?
Yes, I am. Yep.
Okay, okay. You would know your mom to be a bullshit hunter, correct? Like somebody who would be looking out, looking out, looking out. Okay. Now
100%. Yeah.
your mom is somebody who has suffered the worst thing a human can be and can suffer from. Absolutely. There's
Mhm.
nothing worse than the loss of a child. Part of that process, unfortunately for women who are taught that they have to hold the world up for them, for everybody around them, is
Mm.
pointing the finger at themselves. Like it was my
Yeah.
fault. I should have seen it coming. I should have done something.
Yeah.
My job here today is to make sure that people don't do that to themselves as much as possible because it's not fair. And our spirits carry on, and this little boy carries on, what have you, however old he was, carries on,
Hmm.
and needs to pass this message through to his mom that she was the best mom ever. That she was the best mom ever. Now, Aaron, my question for you, because again they give me symbols and stuff. May I ask
Hmm.
you, is pumpkin pie a thing in your family?
Not that I can put my finger on, but we have a big
Okay.
dessert thing for sure. Fairly strong on the
You have
desserts in
desserts, okay.
general.
I
Yeah.
don't know what this is. I don't know if it's sweet potato pie. I don't know if it's pumpkin pie, but I keep seeing like, I don't know if it's just the symbol of pie being desserts for that. May I
Hmm.
ask you, does your mom celebrate him on his birthday?
Yes. Yes.
She does.
Yes,
Okay.
we do.
Do you
And
know if she
she
makes any
makes a
sort of
cake.
dessert?
She does make a dessert for everybody's birthday. That's like her thing that we all have to have a party for each person's birthday, and she makes a dessert,
Okay. Okay.
including Brandon, who passed away. We get together for his birthday and have a dessert of some kind in his memory.
Okay. The analogy that I always use for spirit watching us is like the one way mirror we see in a cop show. So when we
Hmm.
celebrate the birthdays, that spirit's with us watching us celebrate. Okay.
Yeah.
But what I need folks to know here, because this sort of regret or self inflicted finger pointing, I think, is really
Hmm.
a problem for many people, whether they've lost children or not.
It's definitely a problem for her. I know that, being her daughter, I've seen her struggle with that a lot. So I think that is a big message that she really needs to hear. She is a good mom. She has been a good mom, and she's questioned it a lot. Or like,
Okay.
she has seen the signs that something was going to happen to him. And
And there's some things, and I don't want to speak for fate. I don't know if this was
yeah,
fated or not fated or what have you.
I believe
The
it was
most
fate.
important thing,
I do. That's my belief. So yeah,
absolutely,
but
and
I
again,
know it's hard
I
for
don't want
her.
to I don't want to speak for fate, but the message
Yeah.
is, here we have a mom who's lost her child, and she's not going to feel like enough. She's not going to feel
Right.
like good enough. She's not going to feel good enough.
Yeah.
Where that's simply a subjective opinion. The objective fact, the fact,
Yeah.
not the opinion, is that she's more than enough. She's more than
She
enough.
is.
Okay. And
She's
what
yeah.
folks need to know, especially, is that our spirits, as much as we think that we can keep a wall up for people around us, our spirits, our loved ones in death, can hear our mind, hear our heart. So the last thing this little
Mhm.
boy, this man, even at
Yeah.
this point, wants to see is his mom walking through life going, I'm not good enough. When the fact is that she is good enough, that she's good enough. That is so, so important. Okay. I want to ask you too, Erin, uh, have people come together? Is there a group tattoo thing going on? Or like, do people want to get a tattoo together? Or what's the tattoo thing?
Many, many people have tattoos in his memory. Lots of people, far and wide, have tattoos for him.
His mom?
She doesn't have a single one. She's very straight edge. I think that I would love to see her get one. I would love to see that.
Okay. Here's what I want to just part of the reason why humans have such a hard time with these circumstances. And I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but here's a movie scene that I think would touch a lot of people. So there's a horror movie out there called Midsommar. Midsommar, Midsommar. It's a straight up horror movie, okay? But the premise of the movie is that a girl who has a very awful thing happen to her ends up in Europe where her boyfriend comes from. And it's kind of culty and there's like this community and what have you. But if you just like, if you don't want to watch the horror movie, but you want to see it very powerful, one of the most powerful movie scenes I've ever seen is you can go to YouTube and Google Midsommar, Sommar, grieving scene.
Okay.
Okay. And in that scene, what it shows is the protagonist, the hero of the story, this woman, is surrounded by other women who are crying with her. And so she is letting her grief out and she wails and wails. And you can just see the entire group moving and they hold her
Yeah.
and they wail with her. It's one of the
Hmm.
most intense movie scenes that I could ever think of, especially when it comes to this. Now, humans being spiritual creatures need ceremony and ritual, but we don't
Hmm.
have it to the degree that we need it. We're very sterilely spiritual in this world. So an example, think of the people who, when they get married, they have a ceremony, a wedding ceremony. But when they get divorced, they just go through a sterile signing of paperwork. They don't have a ceremony to go through that dissolution. Now, your mom and anybody who loses people, we might have a funeral, we might have a wake, but that doesn't really move us through the transition
Right.
spiritually like we have to. And this is why I'm bringing up the idea of a tattoo. I'm going to have your mom, okay, consider getting a tattoo, maybe just a little one. And
Hmm.
tattoos are very ritualistic and ceremonial, where we're not the same person that we were before. This is very useful for somebody who wants to become something else to look at a tattoo as straight-laced people would like poo-poo it. But I think that
Yeah.
getting a tattoo in honor of somebody would help us move forward in that way that we need to. Now, if your mom
Yeah.
could get this tattoo, and remember, Aaron, I'm speaking to you, but I'm speaking to your
Hmm.
mom. If she could
Yeah.
get a tattoo as a way to remember that she is the world's best mom,
Hmm.
sacrifices everything that she's done to make sure that her children could have enough. And then what happens is she comes up against a force of nature that she can't control, she can't stop, she can't do anything about. The last
Hmm.
thing practically and rationally that she should do is point the finger back at herself and beat herself up.
Yeah.
And again, I have to speak to people who take the well-being of their loved ones, their pets, their family, their friends, everybody, and they would unnecessarily and irrationally consider themselves not to be enough. So, Aaron, make sure that when this episode goes live on YouTube, what have you, that you bring this to mom, okay? And
Oh, I
the other
will.
thing,
I will.
the other thing that I need you to do too is, and this is a funny thing. Do you know of her wanting a back porch or a back deck?
I could imagine her wanting a place to sit outside with nature, yeah, or fix up her back deck so she could hang out there.
Okay, so she already has one, but it's not
Yeah, it's
hospitable to
not
her.
really right. Yeah. Maybe get her a
Okay,
little chair or something back there. Yeah.
a woman that's gone through what she's gone through, and a woman who, regardless of losing her child, a woman who's devoted her life to her loved ones to this degree,
Hmm.
should have a goddamn little backyard heaven. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a place
Yeah.
where she can call her own and relax and chill out for a moment. Okay?
Hmm.
Chill out for a moment. I just need to pass this message through to her that she was the best mom. She should not be thinking that she needed to be more of anything. She was more than enough. And now she's walking through life feeling like she wasn't enough. There's all sorts of reasons why. Most of them don't make sense, but it's important that she takes care of your mom, that she takes care of her mother's daughter, that she takes care of this little
Yeah.
boy's mom, because
Hmm.
they can feel us, they can know us. And that's important for anybody that's hearing this message.
Definitely. And I think you
Okay.
really hit the nail on the head with her. This is something that she needs to hear. And it's perfect time for Mother's Day. I have the wheels are turning, some ideas for us to do for her to get a little backyard oasis. Yeah.
Yeah, backyard oasis is a really good thing. Good, really good way to put it. May I ask, is she a fan of root beer floats?
She loves Diet Coke. But a root beer float, I bet you she loves the root beer float. Yeah, something she would like.
Diet Coke, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, Diet Coke.
So like if she's a soda drinker, you know what I mean? A little bit
Hmm.
of ice cream, a little bit of something. Maybe
Yeah.
have some root beer floats. Maybe have some root beer floats. And I don't know if he's trying to tell me to put it on her wrist or to tell her to be careful of her wrists. Okay, but I'm getting drawn to her
Yeah.
wrist. And
She
does she
sits
have
at a
carpal tunnel
desk
at
all
all?
day. So it probably does have carpal tunnel. She does a lot of typing and sits at a
Okay.
desk all day. So yeah.
Important message for folks to take care of your ergonomics. You know what I mean? Take care of your ergonomics, which is just doing the hand stretches, the finger
Yep.
stretches, all of that. And if she's was he old enough to write? Do you know?
Yeah, he was 17. Yeah.
17, old enough to write. So she must have some of his
Hmm.
writing.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. I just saw a little script on her wrist. So if there's a place where he's wrote his name or anything like that, Mother's
My
Day
niece has
cards.
a tattoo. My niece has his handwriting. Love ya, Uncle B on like her tattoo is his handwriting on her arm.
Okay.
Yeah, but that
So
is a great idea. I think my mom would like that.
yeah, do this. I'm not sure that she would be. She may not want to go get it herself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
You might have to buy her like a shop minimum of like $50 or something like that.
Yeah.
If you get
Take her.
her
I'll bring her.
to take gift certificate, something to that
Yeah.
degree, she needs to know, and this is again applying to everybody who has this sort of heartache that she has between today and the day that she's no longer here.
Hmm.
She has a certain amount of life left, and that life should not be spent stuck in a story she'd never want another grieving mother to be stuck in. And she can, and I'm the firm believer that the human being has the ability to control the conversation that we have with ourselves. So
Yeah,
thank you for
I
this.
agree.
Pass this message on to her.
Yes,
Make sure that she
I
gets her
will.
tattoo, her backyard, the sodas, all of it, and
I
make sure
will.
to celebrate the desserts and everything. So thank you, Erin.
Yes.
Also,
Thank you.
interestingly, desserts. Roast
Hmm.
some marshmallows, backyard
Yeah, a little
oasis. Fire.
fireplace maybe back there. Yeah.
Yeah, do all of that. Roast the marshmallows, okay?
I will. I will. Thank you so much, Josh.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. We're going to bring in the next person here. So I'm going to mute you, take you off of Spotlight, take myself off Spotlight. Okay. So again, what we're looking at here is somebody to relate to the spirit that's coming forth. Okay. And remember, there's a theme here with the spirits who are coming forth. Okay. I'm looking for somebody who's got a dad in spirit. Uh, I don't know how to put this kindly, because there's a certain amount of crass ways that he puts this to me. Um, I believe that you're somebody who has sisters here in this world. I believe that you were forced as a child to take care of your sisters or take care of your siblings in a way. I think that you would have been sort of caused to grow up fast. Here is a dad who is regretful that I don't know if he outright abandoned the family. He might have abandoned the family, because I get the sense that there's this regret from this man who would have chased women a lot, somebody who would not have, um, oh, okay, who, like, I'm sorry I made you care for your sisters. I'm sorry I made you. This is somebody who wouldn't have paid attention to his family as much as he needed to, but he would have run around and chased women. This is something that he would have been known for. Might have had a lot of wives, a lot of girlfriends, what have you. Um, but he's regretful of, I'm getting the word abandonment. I'm getting the word that you would have taken care of a lot of, like, your siblings. You would have had to grow up fast. So who here would have had a dad that would have been like that? And you can wave, you can wave, go like this, and I can prompt you to unmute yourself. There's some people that might have to turn their camera on. I don't see anybody claiming this one. Okay. Kathy.
Could be me. Yep.
Okay, you've unmuted yourself.
Yep.
Is this you?
I think.
Okay. Did dad chase women all the time? This is like one of those things where he would have been more driven by his loins than his heart.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you have sisters? Did you have to take care of the sisters? Did you have siblings?
I have two older sisters, a younger brother that I took care of. It wasn't a sister that I took care of, but have since found out I have three additional sisters from him chasing.
Okay. Yeah, from chasing women. Okay. So he must have not been present, correct?
Correct. Well,
He was.
he lived at home, but he wasn't home much.
Okay, he lived at home, but he wasn't home much. Okay, so there's nobody else. So here's the other thing. Can I ask you, the older sisters, are they still here?
Yes.
Okay. Here's what I have to have you do. And again, because this is like, if nobody else can claim this, then this is for you. Okay. So what I'm going to have you do, Kathy, is this is one of those things where when this episode goes live, you have to send it to your sisters. In the same way that Erin is going to send it to her mom, you're passing on these messages as well. So here's a dad, and this is kind of a crass way to put it. This is a crass way to put it. I keep hearing the words chase tail. You know what I mean? Like, this guy was like chasing tail, like chasing tail, like chasing women. He was all over chasing women. Okay. So if you have three siblings that you did not know about, then this is definitely this man who did this. Okay. Uh, I don't know. Do you know if he grew up in the Depression, the 30s?
Yeah.
He did. Okay. I'm getting like, and again, I don't know how old you are, what have you, but I'm getting old. Like, this is old. This is old. Okay. So remember, there's a theme to our time here tonight where people do not feel like they're good enough. And, I've got the brother coming through to make sure that the mom knows she's good enough. Now I've got a dad coming through And there would have been something where this man wouldn't have given you approval, wouldn't have been there to give you the things you needed. And then this is again, there's that theme of like chasing a carrot on a stick, always accepting mistreatment, always accepting abuse, always feeling like you needed to be treated like a doormat because you wanted people to just treat you in any way possible. So whether this is you, Kathy, or whether this is your sisters, there's a pain here that this man is watching because he wasn't present enough, he wasn't a dad enough, and he somehow caused his kids to pull some of the weight that he should have pulled. Okay. Now,
Yep.
I'm going to put you on the spotlight so everybody can kind of see it, and we're going to have this conversation because this is important. Because nobody else is claiming this one. So I want to ask you, do you know of any of his grandchildren having his name as a middle name?
My son has his name as his middle name.
As his middle name. Okay, okay, okay. The names and words don't work for me in the way that some people think or expect them to. Nobody was named James, right?
James, no. But that's my dad's name.
James is your dad's name?
Yes.
Okay, so then I got his name. Okay, that's the name. Okay, that's the name. All right. One of the, and this is important, Kathy, for you and your sisters and everybody to know, as soon as you pass away, he's going to be there to offer you all an apology. You've got to know this. Like, this is one of those things that's going to happen. Like, and when they have the opportunity to come through me to offer the apology, why is this so important? Because the biggest issue or the biggest problem that our spirits have when they pass away is regret. And then watching their kids feel like they were never good enough, feeling like they needed to like seek the approval in unhealthy places. If you didn't, oh my gosh, if you didn't have a healthy dad, or a present dad, that's literally where the term daddy issues comes from. Where we're seeking that sort of positive or present male influence in the lives of in our life. And this is really difficult. So now this man is watching his daughters, his sisters, everybody, his daughters, the sisters, being forced into adulthood far too soon, having to take care of because there wasn't enough space for everybody else to take care of them. And there's a sense of regret. But what he owes you, Kathy, is an apology. He owes your sisters an apology. And he's giving it through me to you. And you got to know that whether he told you this, I don't think he did. You are good enough. Your sisters are good enough. You don't have to seek the approval. You don't have to pretend or find it elsewhere. You are good enough. You are good enough. You are good enough. And you're good enough. Now, the other important message, and I believe this applies more to your sisters, Kathy, than it does to you.
Okay.
When we make crappy decisions in terms of relationships, the choices that we would make for relationships where we stayed in relationships far too long with people who neglected us or abused us. There's this, and I hate leaning into pop psychology, but you've got the narcissists, the abusers, okay? And then on the other side of that spectrum, you have the people pleasers. Where do people pleasers come from? The people who are seeking to please people, and it's never from a place of love, it's from a place of fear. So then this man is taking responsibility for causing some people in your family to hold on or stay in relationships that were unhealthy because they wanted to please people. They wanted to please people. I have a whole lot of family members like this where they would rather stay in unhealthy relationships and be treated poorly than get out of those unhealthy relationships and be treated no way. So how often do we sacrifice our own well-being because we're just seeking affection? We just want to be held. We just want to be with somebody. And then we end up with Here's some of my grandmother's friends. We end up with some real shit bags. you know? So then what happens is then it takes us a while to figure this out. It takes us a while to figure out that that person's not healthy, that person's running around on us, that person's mistreating us. It takes us a while to figure out that we deserve more than that. And then let's say that we spend 20 years in a relationship with an unhealthy person. The last thing we should do is point the finger back at ourselves and go, oh, it's because I was stupid. It's because I didn't respect myself. And so it makes it doubly worse that somebody who has daddy issues has these awful relationships or these questionable relationships, and then they turn around and they think it's completely their fault when it's not. So I'm going to ask you, Kathy, how many people in your how many people in your family have daddy issues?
Probably a good chunk.
A good chunk. Okay. So now this man is coming forth, apologizing for this. This will take this will take experiences like this to get the perspective that some people need to hear. This might take conventional therapy. This might take healing of all sorts. But I think that ultimately, a lot of our healing, if not a majority of our healing, comes from controlling the conversation that we have with ourselves. Like we can control how we speak to ourselves. I know that your family members who have daddy issues and have made problematic decisions in their lives around relationships, if they'd had daughters or friends or sisters who made the same choices, they would never want their loved ones to blame themselves. They would, in the same way that Aaron's mom would never want another mother who lost her child to point the finger at herself. You know what I mean? I'm sure Aaron's mom, and the way that she's holding on to these conversations, she would never want anybody else to do the same. In the same way that you have people in your family, Kathy, blaming themselves for things they have no right to blame themselves for. And we know this because they wouldn't want other people to do the same. So if it's you, if it's your sisters, we're not going to dive deep into your personal life, Kathy, but if you have made questionable choices around unhealthy men because you didn't have that positive influence as a child, then you have to remember it's not your fault. You have to pass this along to your sisters. It's not their fault. And a positive male role model, a positive male influence is just as important in our lives as a positive female role model and a positive female influence. Positive parental influence, man. I have an excellent kid because he's been raised by two dads. Do you know how lucky his girlfriend is because he had two dads? He is the most heartfelt, wonderful, devoted, hardworking kid ever. And he had the positive influences to guide him and to steer him. Children should not be forced to take up the mantle where their parents couldn't. So here's another thing, too. While this man is taking responsibility for himself, there's an added layer to this. I don't know his history, but there's a reason, Kathy, why he would have been the way he was. So whether it was his parents, whether it was an over excitable libido that he didn't know what to do with, do you know what I mean? Like there's think about think about how many tragedies and traumas have happened in this world because people are not comfortable with their sexuality. You know what I mean? And so what I'm saying to you is that we've got to have a little bit of grace for dad. He is owning it. He's wearing the egg on his face, as the expression goes. But there's a reason why he was the way he was. Perhaps he didn't have a positive role model as a father. Perhaps he didn't know how to be a father because he lost his father. Do you know what I mean? There's all sorts of reasons why people are the way they are. Yet we have to balance that with accountability. So, for instance, here we have his daughters in this world who are the way they are based on what would have happened to them. Yet they are also, here's the paradox, they are also responsible for their decisions. They are responsible for their actions. So, your sisters, whoever in your family who would have made questionable decisions because of daddy issues, they still made those decisions. They still made those choices. So we have to, understand that we are some of our parts, but we also make the choices. And, sometimes we have to own up to that. Sometimes we have to look a person straight in the face and say, this is over. This was never meant to be. I'm done with this. I'm not the person I was when I was, 20 years old. Now I'm 40 and it's outgrown its usefulness, or I have more respect for myself and I refuse to be treated this way. I guess the point of it is that he's sorry and he wants to make sure that you, your sisters, in any way that this would have rippled down into his grandchildren, that people aren't running around seeking approval, because we have to get our approval from ourselves. It can't come from other people. Like, our validation and what we feel about ourselves can't come from other people, because if our validation and our worth comes from other people, then other people can take it from us. So we have to know that we are ourselves, like ourselves, we're enough. If we let other people's opinions of us be the thing that gives us our sense of worth, other people's opinions can take that away from us. So just make sure that you pass this along, okay, as much as possible. And please make sure you all get together for Christmas, please. Make sure, if you can, as much as possible,
We
get everybody
used to.
together for Christmas.
We used
You
to.
used to?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you not anymore?
No. What?
Not since they passed.
Not since. Both my parents passed in 99. 98 was the last Christmas we all got together.
Well, maybe you can make 2025 the year that everybody gets together for Christmas. If it's possible.
Maybe.
Well,
Including the new?
let's say it again.
Including the new sisters?
Who knows? Who knows? There's a lot of healing that should be done around that.
We've
There's a lot of
gotten
healing that should
together.
be done. Good, 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 good. Well, maybe
Okay.
make a new family. The point of this is, though, is like, and so in those events that I was doing in Connecticut, okay, I'm giving away gifts.
What?
So I was in Connecticut and I had to give away 3 gifts to a woman. Colored ice cubes, like flashing ice cubes, a New York Knicks t-shirt, and a Christmas star. This was her brother coming through, who loved the New York Knicks, who always had ice cubes in his drink. And he was mad that they weren't celebrating Christmas anymore. And so the Christmas star was like, hey, you better celebrate Christmas. And so this woman, whose brother loved the Knicks, who drank with ice in his cup all the time, this past Christmas 2024 was the first time that they had not gotten together for Christmas. And this guy in spirit was upset because we only have a certain amount of time to get together with the people that we love. Okay. So what I encouraged her to do was to have a Christmas in July. Have a Christmas in July. Make up for the one in December that you didn't have. But I'm just going to ask you this. You have 2 older sisters, Kathy? Yeah?
I do.
Okay. You love them?
Oh, yeah.
How many Christmases are you going to have with them? Think feasibly. 10, 5, 2, 1, none? Think about that. So make sure that you're living as much as possible, okay? I just saw corn on the cob. So I think what this is don't wait for Christmas. Have a family barbecue. Okay, the corn on the cob is like somebody's got to like good old Vermont cow corn. You know what I mean? Just something sweet corn. So get together, potato salad, barbecue, what have you, whether it's the new sisters, the old sisters, what have you. We only have a certain amount of time. to be with the people that we love. Okay. The other
Definitely
thing
not getting
too,
any younger.
definitely not getting any younger. The other thing too is this man wasn't entirely all bad. He was not entirely all bad. And here's why. What I'm getting from him as well is go through the photo albums. You know what I mean? I'm seeing the old black and white pictures. Take the photo albums out. Go down a walk through memory lane. Did anybody ever have a VW Bug, like a Volkswagen?
Yes,
Okay.
I did.
I'm seeing like a picture. I'm seeing pictures with Volkswagen Bugs, you know, the old stuff, the old school stuff.
Mhm.
Get everybody together and go through the photo albums. Enjoy. I mean, those are the memories that we cherish when we die. Not how hard we worked, not how much we had our nose stuck in the news, but the moments that we had with our family. Those are the reasons why we're here. And those are the memories that we cherish when we die. So do everything that you can to make those happen before you're kicking yourself in the ass and wishing that you had done more of that when your sisters start dying off. You know, I know it's a heavy message, but I can't sugarcoat it. I can't sugarcoat it. We have to make the most of the time that we have together. Okay. So you're a wonderful daughter. Don't ever feel like you're not a wonderful daughter. You are more than enough. Wonderful wife, wonderful mother, all of that. Don't spend the rest of your life walking around feeling like you could have been more than, because you are enough. And please pass this along to your sisters, okay? Hell, send it to the new sisters, okay?
I will.
All right, perfect. Perfect. Because if what's the term latchkey kids? That's not what that is. Like the latchkey kids isn't the kids that like grow up without parents, right? No. That's not that. Is it?
Latchkey kids are the kids that come home from school and to no parents around,
Okay. Yep.
which
But do
was
you know
us.
like which were you? Okay. Do these other sisters have a dad in their life?
The new sisters,
Yeah.
yes. One was a her dad adopted them. Her. The other two were a set of twins, and they were adopted by a couple and was
They
raised
were adopted. Okay. You know, and that calls into question, you know, whether they grew up without a dad, whether they had a dad that adopted them. You know, when kids are adopted, or hell, even worse, when kids are in the foster care system because they don't have parents that have the ability to care for them, look at the amount of baggage that they have. I mean, just think about how every foster kid that's in the system is out there going, my parents didn't love me enough to get their shit together. You know, they're all battling that.
one of the new sisters felt that she was a throwaway.
The amount of baggage that somebody has to carry around a story like that.
Yep.
You know, my parents weren't perfect, but they were there for me. I have cousins that were abandoned by their parents, and those cousins are still messed up to this day because their parents just didn't want them. And I'm like, I don't know what would make a person be like that. I have that is as alien to me as I don't know. I can't even understand it. So for any of the parents here on this session, thank you for taking care of your kids. For anybody that would have had absent parents or you felt like you were thrown away by your parents, make sure that you know that it wasn't your fault. That you were good enough, no matter if your parents cared for you or if your parents threw you away. Whether your dad was there for you, whether your mom was there for you or not, you are still worthy of love and respect, and you are perfect. Boy, that's a heavy message. Okay.
Okay.
So thank you for this. Kathy, thank you for being here. Make sure that you pass this along to the people that need to see it, okay?
I will. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Take you off spotlight, mute you. Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay, so here's the next one. I've got to got to do my damnedest to make this as lighthearted, but everybody's walking around with such heartache and pain, and much of it is unnecessary. Okay. Okay, here we go. Let me take a sip of my tea. This might be somebody who's gotten a reading here before. Oh man, okay. Remember, there's a theme here. They know this theme before we jump into this. I'm looking for somebody here who would have helped their friend pass away. I'm looking for somebody here who would have helped their friend pass away from cancer, from something awful, a disease, something like that. I'm looking for somebody here who would have had a friend that would have helped, like a sister, like a friend, pass away. I don't know if you gambled with them. I don't know if you played cards with them. I don't know if you played games with them, what have you. They also get like you might have helped care for their children, like looked after their children. This might be a sister, might be like a friend that was like a sister. Um,
Hi,
but
Tom. This is
somebody
Louise.
unmuted themselves.
Hi, Louise.
Hi, Louise.
Hi. My friend Julie passed away. Gosh, it's been about 10 years now, and she died of cancer. We're very close. So we lived in town together. And after she passed away, her boys lived here. She had two boys. They were 9 and 10, and they lived here and finished off the school year and kind of mended fences with their father. The parents were divorced and just transitioned them over to their new life.
Okay. So, Louise, I'm going to put you on spotlight. I don't think anybody else is able to claim this one. Okay, so here you go. Spotlight. I'm going to spotlight me. Here we go. Okay. So, all right. I think that you've picked up on the theme of what we've been talking about. Okay. You know, the idea that we're riddled with this idea that we're not enough. And listen, I'm going to be vulnerable and quite frank with everybody here. Like, all of this shit that I'm talking about is stuff that I have dealt with. You know, I'm 46. I have dealt with it. You know, I'm a professional medium. I'm a gay man. You know, I have really hard parents who loved me, but they were really hard. I've fallen on my face in many ways over the course of my life, trying to seek approval and validation because I didn't feel like I was enough. And even now, you know, I sometimes suffer with it. Sometimes I feel like I could be a better friend, a better father, a better son, a better husband, damn, a better psychic, you know, all of that. But a lot of it comes down to understanding that I am perfect as I am. And Louise, a friend that you would have taken her kids in after she passed, I cannot think of something more holy. I cannot think of something more holy and more sacred and more giving because so we started with the mom who lost.
This is interesting.
We started with the mom who lost her boy, and now we're ending with the boys who lost their mom. And you know, I kind of put it. I weigh it like this. You know, worst thing a human could go through is the loss of his kid, and then there's the spouse and the parents, the loss of the spouses and the parents. Those three things: loss of a child, loss of a parent, loss of a spouse. Those are the three worst things a human being can go through. So, Louise, the only reason this friend would come through, and
Since again,
the only reason she would want to come through to you is to tell you that she appreciated your efforts, and there can be no weight in your heart of feeling like you could be a better person. I cannot think of anything more holy than what you did. It's taking kids in that weren't yours, making room for them, helping them transition over into a new life. You have to confront any, and it's like, this is happening because I know it's there. There's going to be things in your heart that talk about, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not enough. I'm not enough of this. I'm not enough of that. That's a sickness that needs to be rooted out at its source. You really have to look at the person that you are and the person that would have taken in those kids, that would have sacrificed, that would have done everything that they could to help those kids through that transition. I mean, how many people would do that? I mean, not very many. I was just talking about foster kids. Those kids could have been easily put into the foster care system, but that didn't happen. And you saved those children an additional scar from going through the worst thing that they could have gone through. Like the worst thing, losing their mom, absolutely. But imagine losing their mom and then being put into homes with strangers.
I mean,
That is,
they had a lot of family, but they were best friends with my son, and so it was just happy and comfortable. And there were children here, and there were children there, and they went to the same school, and it just was a nice natural transition, to their dad because they have a wonderful dad too. They just the parents were just estranged, and so the parents probably talked bad about each other, so just needed to heal that a little bit.
well, the point is that you did it. And even now, it feels like, God damn it, woman, just let me put you up on a pedestal for a moment. You know what I mean? God damn it. And here I am going, but what you did is holy. And you're like, oh my gosh. Oh, well, man, they had family. It just was easy. It was the natural thing to do. Stop selling yourself short. Please stop selling yourself short. I mean, imagine that woman watching her kids being cared for in this home. I mean, even if it was easy, it still wasn't easy. Okay. Even if it was easy, it still wasn't easy. So please give yourself credit where credit is due. Credit where credit is due. You have to. And Louise, you have to know too, and this is so important, that you cannot spend the rest of your life feeling like you're not enough. We're not here for that. We're not here for that. We're here for so many other reasons, but not that. You have to know that you are enough. And like, I don't know, short of tattooing it on your forehead, I am enough. Every time you look in the mirror, I don't know what else to tell you, but I want you to know that your efforts are appreciated. And do those kids have grandkids yet? Oh, excuse me. Do those kids have kids yet?
No, they're like my children's age. So now they're 20 and 21, and they're in college and they live with their dad, and they're doing, really quite well considering. But they're no, they're
Okay.
students, so they're not parents yet.
This message isn't for them. This message is for you. So this isn't one of those situations where you have to send the message to the kids. But I want to tell you something strange that I'm doing. Uh, and this is why I asked if there were kids happening. I don't know if there's cousins having kids. I don't know. I get the impression that this woman is getting ready for launch. And what I mean by that is it feels like she's getting ready to come back into this world.
That's awesome. Maybe as one of theirs.
Maybe as one of theirs, maybe as a cousin's kid, maybe as something like that. But do me this favor, let me just plant a seed. I know that you'll keep an eye on these kids. You'll stay with them, what have you, in their life. If they have a family and if there's a little girl, just keep an eye out on that little girl. You know what I mean? Just keep an eye out on the little girl, okay?
Yeah,
Super important.
I will definitely.
Now,
Yes.
Louise, I gotta ask you, why do I see the dice, the cards? Did you play games?
No, the only thing when you said games, so our boys played soccer together. They were in a lot of sports together, and she couldn't drive, in her condition. So I took her to all the games. When she was at practices, sometimes she'd get herself to one of the practices and she looked so ill and I would take her home. So games was definitely, we were always at games.
Games,
It
yeah.
was not cards, not gambling or anything of that nature. Just
Yeah, and it might be a stretch, but like I could see a soccer ball coming through looking like a dice. You know what I mean? Where dice is the symbol to me for games. So I don't
yeah.
want to put pieces together where they shouldn't go,
Oh,
but I
for sure.
believe that that is that.
We spent
The
500.
other thing too, I don't know why I'm getting this, but I want to talk to you about this. Do you know what a warm fuzzy is?
A warm fuzzy, like a really soft, comfy shirt kind of thing is what I would think of.
A warm fuzzy is specifically like a yarn pom pom,
Oh, like where you wrap it around and then you cut it and then it's like a fuzzy.
a poof ball.
Yeah.
Did anybody ever work with yarn? Did you work with yarn? Did she work with yarn? Is there any yarn?
No.
Okay. Maybe I think we're just ending on the whole idea of the warm fuzzies. You know, like when I was a kid, I went to this like drug prevention program where we made warm fuzzies out of yarn and we gave them to people. It was like a little token of like colorful yarn, what have you. You could do reds and oranges and yellows and make a whole bunch of different colors. And then you make little pom poms and give them away. Um, Maybe you need to, get a little crafty with some yarn. Do that with kids, do that with the one that you're sitting next to. I'm not sure, but uh
Yeah.
uh
She
I
likes
like getting on top of that.
yarn.
She likes yarn.
Yeah, she crochets and stuff.
She crochets. Okay, okay, okay. So there's the yarn connection. Maybe you need to learn from her. Okay.
I could
Or
learn a lot from
maybe
her.
she needs what's that?
Could learn a lot from her.
Maybe um maybe she can make the hat and you can make the pom poms.
Well, let's do it.
You know,
Thank you.
just Louise, you would not want your friend in the world of spirit to be watching you carrying around these shadows, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. And this is the point because they do. And, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse when I say this, but the number one reason why I work on controlling the conversation that I have with myself is because I don't want to beat up on my grandmother's grandson. So I'm blessed in the work that I do, and I know that spirit hears us. I know that spirit watches us. We're like their movie. Even if you can't read the person's mind on a movie, you know what they're going through because you're observing them. Okay. So peace is our birthright. I believe that peace is our birthright. Peace is my birthright. I am not going to let some awful scenario play out in my head. I'm not going to let some awful narrative take root because I'm not going to waste my one precious life believing something I wouldn't want somebody else to believe. I'm still blessed to have my parents. When I lose them, the last thing I'm going to do is beat up on their son. I'm not going to beat up on their son at all. So I'm going to invite you, Louise, to know that you are enough and just to take a look at your past and look at the things that you've done, look at the heart that you have led your life with, and understand that that is enough. Not the affection and the approval from strangers or clients or husband or parents or anything like that. You have to know that you're enough. And again, just like Kathy and just like Aaron's mom and everybody here, you have a certain amount of life to lead. You cannot spend the rest of your life here feeling like you could be more or seeking that carrot of approval like a donkey. So control that conversation and be nice to Julie's friend. Okay?
I will. Thank you so much, Josh. I appreciate you.
You got
I'll
it. Can I also ask, excuse me, do those kids still have jerseys?
Oh, I'm
Are the
sure.
jerseys still around?
I'm sure, like, because the boys had like matching soccer jerseys with their names, but the same color. And yes, I'm sure.
Okay. I don't know if you can talk to him about this, but what I'm seeing is like the jerseys in the frame, like the framed jerseys that you get from like, Tom Brady or what have you. You know what I mean? I don't know if those jerseys can be dug out of storage, iron pressed, and put into frames, but I
Yeah.
feel like it would delight the heck out of her.
All right, cool. I'll definitely reach out to the boys at some point when it's right and talk about that.
Yeah, do that. Do that, do that, do that. Well, at least do this. Make sure that they don't get thrown away.
Yeah, absolutely. No, they're
Make sure,
important. Yeah.
yeah, make sure they don't get thrown away. Okay. Before we end and before I get off of here, Louise, I just want to ask you to do this for me, please. I'm smelling barbecue. Okay, barbecue. So have a barbecue this summer. All right.
Cool.
And if those kids are in college and they're coming back home, try to have like a cookout barbecue with them. All right. Something to the degree of like, I just saw like a badminton net. You know what I mean? So like backyard games, that sort of thing. Try to get people around. Try to, again, remember, like I just said to Kathy, you only have so many Christmases left with your sisters. You're only going to have so many opportunities to have backyard barbecues with these boys before they're all having their own life and you're in the world of spirit. You know what I mean? So do what you can to celebrate them and get together as a family, because if they're 20, 21, and this happened 10 years ago when they were 9 or 10, I am absolutely positive that you still have a very significant place in their heart.
I would love for that to happen, but I'm glad. I would be glad. I'm just glad they're where they are today and in the mental health state that they are in today. So it's important.
Well, give yourself credit because you played a part in that.
We did
You played a part in that.
so much. I
Okay.
appreciate it.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Oh my gosh. So Louise, okay, I don't know if this is for you or if this is for somebody else here.
Mhm.
Because my plan was just to sit with three of them, three spirits, and like they all had this theme. Again, I'm going to keep you on the spotlight because this may be her, or this may be somebody else creeping in, and I just want to make sure. Um, I'm seeing pizza all of a sudden, like making pizza, like the classic throwing the dough up, sort of thing. Was pizza ever a thing in your
No,
life? No. Okay.
If I may interrupt, Josh, that might be my brother. He was a pizza boy. That was his job. And we often have pizza in his memory. And for that reason, we make pizza a lot.
And that's Aaron.
Yes, sorry. It is.
Okay, no, 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 no. He was a pizza boy.
Yes, that was his literally his job. He worked at a restaurant making pizzas.
Hold on, I'm gonna take Louise off spotlight because I want to just see everybody here. Because this feels. Thank you for that, Aaron. I appreciate you
Yeah.
coming in with that. I want to ask somebody else though here. Um,
Sorry if it's windy. I'm outside with my dog.
no, 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 that's okay. That's okay. Uh, so did anybody get taught to make pizza by a grandmother? Like anybody have like a grandmother? And this is a thing for me. I feel like somebody is taller than me. I feel like old butcher block counters. Like uh, this is old flour, old pasta, like old. This might be ethnic in the way that Italian families are ethnic. Um, I feel like somebody else is trying to like make me not stop and keep going here, and so I'm gonna honor them by coming through. And again, this could be
Yeah,
Aaron's person, but I feel
I I don't have anybody taller than you, Josh. I saw you. You're you got to be one of the tallest people I know. So if that's what you said, it's not
yeah.
me.
Thank you for that. No, 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 no.
My
This feels
brother
like
was
it feels
very
like
tall, but not taller than you.
No. I feel like I'm a small kid, and
Oh,
thank you,
okay.
Aaron, for that. I feel like I'm a
Yeah,
small kid, and I feel like somebody is taller than me, showing me how to like put the pepperoni on, showing me
I
how to
see.
do the things. Okay.
Yeah,
Does anybody have a
no.
grandmother who would have shown them how to do those things? And it was fascinating to me is I feel like I'm in like an island, like not an island, like a tropical island, but like an island in the kitchen. My mom has an island in her kitchen, so might not be pizza, but it feels like it. It feels like don't get caught up on the gram. Like this is like somebody coming through making recipes, and this is in that theme of you are enough. You're enough. Ah. What's fascinating to me is this person feels like this feels like this person might not have like English might not have been their first language. So who here would have had people from like Italy or like they would have not spoken English as their first language?
Josh, it's Louise.
Nobody.
No, my
Okay.
grandmother was from Italy. She spoke broken English. I made lots of recipes with her at her butcher block, but never pizza.
Oh,
She has
okay.
Josh,
shit, but
Yes, hello.
hopefully for somebody else.
my mom and dad are from Italy, and my mom's aunts and stuff taught her. She's an amazing baker and cook, and she actually used to like at Greenwich. She used to bake at Greenwich High School. She used to work there when I was going there because that's when they used to make all the food from scratch, and she made the pizzas for Friday pizzas for all the schools,
Okay.
and she would send them out.
Okay. Can I ask, give us your name, please?
Elaine Gencarelli.
Elaine. Hi, Elaine.
Hey.
I want to ask, was English not her first language?
No, Italian's her first language.
Okay, so Louise, thank you for that. Elaine, I'm gonna bring this up because this is for you. Okay, so you're gonna get spotlighted with me. Here we go. Okay. So say that for me again. So she made pizzas for Friday. She was Italian. She didn't have English as her first language.
No, she was born and raised in Italy, and all of her like aunts and her grandmother and stuff, they taught her how to cook and how to bake and stuff.
Okay, so I would get the impression of like being a small child, being shown
Yeah, she was
like by
very young
people
when
that
she
told
started learning. Yeah.
and Italian and pizza. Okay, thank you for that. All right. So remember, and just kind of filling everybody in on how this happens, and I want to be very clear with why certain people come through is because I get help from an angel. I get help from a higher spirit that kind of lines up everybody's spirits and goes, boop, 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 boop. Here's the theme. Here's what we're talking about. Here's all of this. Okay. So, based on this theme, Elaine, have you been here for the entire thing? For
Yeah.
everybody's messages? You have been.
Yep.
Okay. So you've been hearing this overarching theme of feeling like I'm not enough.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Being that you're an American woman, I'm going to gesture, I'm going to guess that there's a little bit of something inside of you where you feel like you're not good enough or you're not enough of something. Now, the reason why I would get the pizza maker and the ethnic woman and the older woman and all of that is because they didn't know how to give those things to us.
Right.
They didn't know how to give those things to us. They didn't know how to tell us, like, and I don't say this from a place of shame because I love my dad so much. But the only time my dad has ever told me that he's proud of me is secondhand. He's told somebody else who then told me, but he's never told me directly. So I have
Yeah.
this old New England family that they don't, my mom's a little bit better at it than she used to be. But there's so much baked into old New England culture, even old European culture, where we don't give you the accolades, we don't give you the approval, we don't give you those things. And then we should have, we should have.
Yeah.
There's that idea of positive affirmation. right? Like hold our kids accountable to the things that they're not doing, but also praise them for the things that they are doing well. So, you can, the words that I'm getting, Elaine, are hard, cold, and rigid. Hard, cold, and rigid. So there's a certain degree of your ancestors who would have been hard, cold, and rigid. And now here you are
Yeah.
in your life, not feeling like you're enough of something. Enough of, I'm not sure what this is, a human, a woman, a girlfriend, a wife, a mother, a daughter, doesn't matter. Any of those narratives that are in your mind are illusions. They're not real. They're not real. And how do we know this? How do we know this? Because we would never want anybody else to feel these things.
Right.
So, to whatever degree you're feeling it, or to whatever degree you feel like you've been, oh my God, abandoned, neglected, pushed to the side, people haven't seen your value, all of those things that can really become the awful narratives that we walk around with. You got to know that your sense of approval can only come from you.
Mhm.
Now, here's the question that I have to ask you. All right. If you had a daughter who was given your life, who's been through everything that you've ever been through, and turned her life into what you've turned it into, would you be proud of her?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Then I'm going to kindly ask you to pull your head out of your ass. Okay.
Okay.
We're kindly asking you to pull your head out of your ass so you can tell yourself the truth about yourself. Okay. And this is an interesting thing. And this is something that I've been sitting with, the truth about ourselves. There's a truth about us. And when we know our truth, nobody can take that from us.
Mhm.
Like you could have people walk up to you and call you stupid or ugly or anything like that. If you knew the truth about yourself, that you were brilliant and beautiful, those people's opinions couldn't put a chink in your armor.
Right.
So we have to be the place where our validation comes from. We have to know the truth about ourselves. And there's so much power that we get from telling ourselves the right story about ourselves to ourselves. We have to tell ourselves the right story about ourselves and to ourselves. We can't let the exes or the shitty jobs or the neglectful parents or any of those people that will cross our path establish our story, which brings me around to one of the biggest lessons I learned in 2024. And you got books behind you, yeah? So you're a word person.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. Okay. One of the biggest lessons that I learned in 2024 was this. The word author is in the word authority. And I've never seen it before. I'm like 45, 46 years old. The word author, like we author a book, is in the
Mhm.
word authority. So somewhere along the way, those are connected. When we author our own story, we become the authority of ourselves. When we let our shitty exes, neglectful parents, awful jobs, all those things author our story, we're giving our authority to them. And that is not the life to lead. So Aaron's mom has to know that she's the best mom in the world. Absolutely the best mom in the world. Kathy's got to know that she's the best daughter in the world. Louise has got to know that she's the best friend in the world. You've got to know that you're the best granddaughter in the world, Elaine. And you've got to know that that comes from you. That doesn't come, spirit can only come through to give us perspective shifts, but we're responsible for the story we tell ourselves every single day.
Okay.
So I want you to do that. I want you to find a way to give yourself as much peace as you need, because I'm not getting the impression that you're at peace, Elaine. So I need you to do this for me. As a word person, I want you to write your story out.
Okay.
Like literally hand write your story. Okay. Now you can write that story. I would encourage you to write it from the third person, not the first
Okay.
person. Like Elaine was born here, Elaine had these parents,
Right.
Elaine, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And then I want you to read that story back to yourself. I want you to gain the 1,000-foot view of your life, because you're walking around with the first person perspective, and that first person perspective is a lie.
Okay.
Because I'm sitting with you and I'm connecting to you, it's like, I'm not good enough. I wasn't good enough for this person. I wasn't good enough for that. I wasn't good enough for this. You are good enough. No matter what anybody would have treated you like or what story you would have walked through, you are good enough. When you were born into this world, and you're going to be good enough the day you walk out of it. You have to tell yourself that story. So I'm going to encourage everybody to do that. Write a story in the third person. Take an objective look at yourself. And I'll use my story as an example. You know, I was born into the world in northern New England. I was born to a couple of roughnecks. My parents were roughnecks. They had awful lives. My parents were bikers. I was 6, 7 years old watching my parents fist fight at parties.
Oh.
Like my mom and dad fist fighting at parties because it was the 70s, it was the 80s. I was a closeted little scared kid. Now I'm an adult who's carrying all those stories with me. If I had a son that was born into my life and turned his life into what I've turned mine into, I would be so goddamn proud of him. And I'm not going to let myself get twisted. I'm not going to waste my time here telling myself these stories that I don't deserve. So be proud of yourself, Elaine, and know that here's a funny thing. This is funny. If you did not have the approval of your old Italian grandmother, you and I would be having a completely different conversation right now.
Okay.
You get that?
Yeah.
Okay. You are a person of integrity, honor, strength, beauty, love, heart. You are all of those things. Don't let any other story in this world teach you different. Okay?
Okay. Yep.
All right. So that's it. I don't have any other spirits coming through, but I did have that pizza making grandma that pushed through at the very end. So all my love
Okay.
to everybody here. We've gone 90 minutes or so. I want to thank everybody here for being part of this today. Everybody that's part of this brings their collective energy. If you guys did not show up, I would not have had these stories or these opportunities to share this. Just remember, whether you got a reading or not, don't allow mistreatment, abandonment, neglect, betrayal. Write your story. Be the author in your story and get your own authority. Okay? All right. Much love to everybody here. Thank you so much for being here. Remember, the Die, Laugh, Love podcast. We're all going to die. Better love, better laugh before we do so. Okay? So thank you for being here. Take care of yourself. And just so everybody knows, doing another one of these this Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern time. So who the heck knows what's going to happen there. All right. Much love to you all. This will be online tomorrow.
Thank
Take
you.
care of yourself.
Bye, all.
See you next time.
Good night, everybody.